Many thanks for staying with us on the program. Now, since Friday, the 8th of this month, we've seen really devastating sights from the earthquake in Marrakech, Morocco. The country has suffered its worst earthquake in over a century. Now, 3 days of national mourning has been declared by King Mohammed VI, and over 2,000 people are now known to have died, with at least 2,000 more injured, while search is still on for survivors or bodies. Over 300,000 spoke in general were affected by Friday night's quake. Houses have been cracked, others destroyed. Well, joining me to discuss this very devastating situation, I have first Karima Ranim, the president of the International Center for Diplomacy, Lebanon. Thank you, Karima, for joining us.
Thank you for hosting me.
It's a pleasure. We also have Dr. Husseini Mohammed Tajuddin, the Professor of International Law. Thank you, Dr. Husseini, for joining us.
Thank you for having me too. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Now, Karima, is there a way you can give us an update on what has been going on? What is the mood there like? What is the situation in Marrakech like?
Well, first of all, let me express my condolences to all the families of the victims, more specifically who lost their houses and also their lives in this devastating earthquake, which was one of the hardest after the 1960 earthquake, which killed more than 12,000 people in Agadir, and also the Al Husima one in 2004, which killed more than 600 people. And the situation in the Al Haus region provinces is a bit critical because of the amount of damage that is caused more specifically in the small towns and small villages compared to the urban areas. There are many villages who there are many villages who have gone. It's too emotional because we lived a very difficult situation, and many villages who have gone due to this earthquake, completely gone. People have died. There are some villages who have no survivors. There are many historical sites in the region with 900 years of history, which was completely destroyed. So the loss is very, very considerable. But let me say here that there have been a lot of efforts, whether by the government under the instruction of His Majesty King Mohammed VI, and also the Royal Armed Forces and local authorities, but also civil society, who has been mobilized day and night to help rescue the survivors of this earthquake, provide shelter, medical supplies, food supplies. So there's been an important solidarity at the local level. And I think that Morocco, since the experience of coronavirus, has been much more resilient. Although, you cannot predict an earthquake, it's much more difficult. But yet, I think the mobilization from all actors in the society is important. We also commend all the solidarity that we have received from all across the world who expressed their willingness to help Morocco, more specifically in rescue missions looking for survivors. So I think the rescue missions now are still on, and Morocco has accepted some of the calls for rescue mission for certain countries, and we're still looking for survivors, and everyone is actually mobilized to provide support to the victims. And also there have been a lot of calls for donations, whether a private donation, civil society donation, and also official donations from an official account that the government has opened to receive donations, whether from Morocco or from outside of the country.
I mean, it really is sad what's going on in Marrakech and all the regions of Morocco. Now, Karima, you mentioned that the government is doing their best. Can you let us in on the specifics? What exactly is the government doing at this time?
Yes, well, actually, His Majesty King Mohammed VI chaired an important meeting with all officials and provided instructions to provide immediate support, whether rescue missions or providing shelters or working on a plan to rebuild, the houses that have been destroyed by the earthquake. Also, the line ministries are also mobilized in this regard to provide any type of assistance. The Ministry of Health also has increased its capacity in hospitals, and there have been an official call for blood donation. And I would like here to commend all the Moroccan people who went to all the blood centers so that they can donate blood. And there's still the campaign is still ongoing, and there are a lot of people are going now to donate. So I think also the Royal Armed Forces, who have deployed a lot of efforts, more specifically through their experience all across the world, and mainly in Africa, in setting, field hospitals, military field hospitals. They're using new techniques, drones and other technology to look for survivors. So I think that there is mobilization, and at the same time, mobilization by local governments and local authorities in place so that they can manage, all this humanitarian assistance and support that is pouring into the region. And
Right.
just today, there's an official, document
Right.
explaining how to manage all this humanitarian assistance
Okay.
in the region.
Thank you, Karima. I mean, it's really good to hear and know what the government is doing at this time. Dr. Husseini, people at this moment are scared to go back home. Are there shelters available for those people? I mean, like we said, buildings have been destroyed, and those that are not destroyed are cracked. Are there shelters available, or no building is safe at this point?
Let me first say that this earthquake happened to the region of Marrakech, and this region is one of the most aggressive ones since I think even Americans recognize this fact since 1900. It's 1 century, 25 years. It never happened such an act of earthquake like this one. It's true that Morocco has known other earthquakes, almost the famous one of the 1960s in Agadir. But we have to recognize that the level on of Richter was only 5.4. This one is reaching not only, as said, 6.8, but even in some areas, 7.2. So this is the origin of the complete destruction of many groupings of people around the mountains of Atlas. And you know that the Great Atlas is the highest mountains of the whole country, the whole North Africa. For example, the highest level is the mountain of Toubkal, is making part of this round mountains of Atlas. So the catastrophe was very big, very huge. And I think that housing these people will cross at least the first stage in what concerning preparation of tents. Tents has been set up not only by the local authorities, but even the Ministry of Interior intervened, and the army forces, the Royal Army Forces, has played a very effective role to play in this establishment of tents. But
Dr.
the tents,
Hosseini,
anyway.
Dr. Hosseini,
Yeah,
talking about interventions, we also understand that there are emergency teams on standby to respond to victims. And you just mentioned all the regions that have been affected. Are these emergency teams properly dispersed?
The question of dispersion of teams is not as simple as we can imagine. Of course, they were properly dispersed, but some you don't have to forget that most of the affected areas are located in the rugged mountains areas, and the disappearance even of roads due to the earthquake complicated the situation for everybody. And because of this, the disappearance of roads pushed the authorities to use helicopters to present sometimes food and shelter and many things, the need of the population, but at the same time to use very huge material to reconstruct the road as immediately as possible, debarrassed from the stones blocking the walking in these routes, and so on. These measures are still going on. It's now 2 days these measures are going on, and I think that if we are talking today, most of the areas, populated areas, are reached by the meaning of helps. But as I said about housing, the second step after tents is to construct new houses for these people, for the simple reason that the actual houses no more useful. In particular, in this, of course, in big cities like Marrakech, for example, or in Terre, the houses can be verified by architects and technical ways to know if they are useful for habitation in the future or not. But most of this groupment of people in the mountains, I think that necessity to build for them new houses is imposed for everyone. And this construction is to respect such technical conditions, in particular in what concerning the anti-seismic capacity to resist for the future, because the area actually is not a normal area, as we said. It's sensible to earthquakes more than any other areas in the country.
Right.
So this is the problem, the stage that everybody has to go in order to reach this position.
All right. Karima, I would also like for us to understand better. Now, we know that outside nations, other nations have tried to render help to Morocco. Was there a reason why the Moroccan government delayed approval of these outside help? We understand that it has now been approved, but for a while, the government did not approve outside aid. Why is that?
Well, actually, we would not say delayed or denied international aid, because Morocco was very clear in welcoming all the support from all the countries around the world. However, the press release that is released by the Ministry of Interior was very clear in the sense that, after the formal meeting held chaired by His Majesty King Mohammed VI, which instructed the authorities and the government to make an evaluation of the needs, and more specifically the immediate needs in the region, and to build on proactive plans in the aftermath of the earthquake. The evaluation of the needs assessment was the main reason why it did not, approve to have different types of support, because Morocco has accepted the pressing and immediate needs of certain support, more specifically a rescue team. It already accepted the assistance of Spain, UK, UAE, and Qatar, who are already in place. And at the same time, I think there might be approval of certain other countries according to what is needed in the region, actually, because there are rescue teams already by the Moroccan government, Moroccan rescue teams, and also there are a lot of aid that is pouring into the region from the Moroccans themselves. So, and you know that accepting international aid needs a lot of focus and also logistics, more specifically food supplies and others. So I think that was one of the main reasons, is to better manage and to better organize the humanitarian assistance that is pouring into the region. So Morocco has always welcomed international aid in this sense.
All right, thank you, Karima, for that clarification. Now, very quickly and finally, Dr. Husseini, we understand that some of these earthquakes trigger other earthquakes, and you had mentioned that what the government should do, one of the things they should do is build new structures for these people, as the old one is not to be trusted, so to say. So what is the guarantee that the coast is clear, that we're not expecting another form of earthquake? Is there no way that they can make something makeshift in the meantime, since we're not so sure that there won't be a recurrence?
You see, nobody normally has the capacity to predict the arrival of earthquake or not. I think American people in California, is always the problem of their land, which able to see any earthquake anytime. So to predict the time exactly is not possible. But to take protection and precautions for the future is necessary. I think that Japan give a good example in what concerning the construction of anti-seismic buildings that can be able to accept such situation, even to reach the Richter on 7 or more.
All right.
So here, in what concerning Morocco, I think that the government has in the particular military, a long experience with other earthquakes, not only in Morocco, but the help given to some other countries outside.
Okay.
And now, as my partner there give ideas about the question of countries who can give help, I don't think that these people who want to provide any aid or assistance need a prior approval from the Moroccan government. It's a question of urgency and aid that has to come. But only problem or problematic is the question of coordination. Because to identify the needs of each region and how to do is the principal thing. And I think that things are going on the right track, actually. And I hope that it will be just something of the past and people can find their houses in the future, not only by the government, but by aid of all components of civil society and outside assistance.
Hopefully so. Thank you so much, Karima Mourning, the president of the International Center for Diplomacy in Lebanon. And thank you once again so much, Dr. Husseini Mohammed Tajuddin, professor of international law, lawyer in front of the Supreme Court, and president of Forum 21st of Dialogue and Development in Rabat, Morocco. Thank you for your time and for joining us on the program. Now, the worst destruction has been in isolated mountain areas which are difficult to access. Residents have described while villages suffering the damage and rescuers are unable to retrieve bodies from rubble. We have a short message from all of us at News Central to take a look.
And prayers are with every single person in Morocco, the lives lost and injured. We are praying for you all.
Condolences to the casualties and all who have been affected by the Morocco earthquake. Wishing love, strength, and support.
Hello, brothers and sisters in Morocco. The news has been devastating. It's been a very heartbreaking headline since Saturday, since the incident happened. I'd like to send my condolences to the families who have lost their loved ones.
Our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to all the people of Morocco who have suffered directly or indirectly from this earthquake. We do hope that the government and other people around the world will come to the rescue and to the aid of the Morocco.
It's really heartbreaking to see what's happening in Morocco, the number of lives that have been lost. There's really no way to just say that our thoughts and our prayers are with Morocco, and I hope that they get all the comfort that they can.
Our heartfelt condolences to all residents of the Al House region, still trapped in the ruins, or some that have lost their partners or friends. We do hope that those ones get rescued as soon as possible.
Our heartfelt condolences to all the people of Morocco. Our thoughts and prayers are with you in this hard time.
Well, our hearts go out to those who have lost their loved ones in this terrible disaster, and it is our hope that those alive but still buried under the rubble be found safe and on time. It's a wrap on Village Square Africa. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us again at same time, same station tomorrow as we bring you more editions with top stories across the African continent. My name is Blessings Musugu. Do have a lovely day.